Throughout the depressing blanket coverage, Jade was repeatedly referred to as a star of reality TV, which she was, although it's more accurate to say she was a star of reality TV and news.
After all, in her final weeks, taken accumulatively, she made far more appearances on front pages and news broadcasts than in her living TV specials.
Sally, what's the latest that you've been able to discover about Jade's condition?
The populist news broadcasts had exciting live updates, filling us in on each fresh development as and when it happened, often displaying characteristic tact.
We were also hearing that perhaps the cancer has spread to her brain. What's the latest on that, Rachel?
They also repeatedly looped footage of her being wheeled to an ambulance, footage with a cheery watermark in the top right corner, marking it the property of Mr. Paparazzi, the brainchild of fatuous Mel Smith lookalike and almighty human arse-cheek Darren Lyons, seen here on Sky News, giddily commenting on a comment on the sort of press coverage he's a part of.
It's a superb read, and I would love everyone to have a look at this today.
And which I'm now commenting on. This whole thing is a crazy, endless feedback loop.
Of course, when the sad news actually arrived, it was broken dramatically live, and we were treated to real-time spooling footage from outside her house, which we were told was a perfectly acceptable thing to do.
This is not any kind of intrusion.
This was followed by emotive coverage of well-wishers leaving flowers.
It has, in this corner of Essex, been a sombre Mother's Day.
And the occasional talking head overstating her good points to a frankly embarrassing degree.
I think for people she's become a saint, a princess, an exemplar of biblical proportions.
Yeah, she's the patron saint of celebrity perfume ranges.
None of it seemed real, not the gaudy tabloid front pages, not the garish ads for tribute magazines published before she'd even died.
OK Magazine's special tribute issue with wonderful memories of Jade, out now.
Not the tributes from establishment figures who, let's be fair, were only answering questions they'd been asked by the press.
In the end, Jade Goody died on the biggest reality show going, not Big Brother or some living TV special, but the news. After all, with its jaunty titles and its easy hate figures, its selective storytelling and its stupid viewer votes, it's a hair's breadth from being a multi-platform I'm a Celebrity spin-off.
In fact, all it needs next is a special live edition where Gordon Brown has to eat a Wichita grub or something to win the next election, and then the circle's complete. And then just before the world ends, we can all enjoy a quick look back at some of our best bits.
You know, when I started doing this series, I thought, hey, this will be a good self-improvement exercise. I'll watch loads of broadcasts and I'll know what's going on in the world. But all it's done, actually, is depress me because the news is so flipping horrible.
We believe, from what the police officer was telling us, that he killed his 74-year-old grandmother, also his mother, his uncle, his cousin, his 15-year-old second cousin. In addition, he killed a baby, he killed a sheriff deputy's wife, he killed 2 pedestrians, he killed a petrol station assistant, he killed a motorist, he let loose 7 rounds at a trooper, he shot the chief of police, and he shot himself. We'll let you digest that for a moment.
Which isn't to say the world itself is horrible. I mean, it's still full of sunshine and flowers and cuddly creatures you'd like to have sex with, like this rabbit. Oh, look at that rabbit. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is there's generally more good than bad in the world, unless you're watching the news, which likes to accentuate the negative at every turn.
For instance, a few weeks ago at a homecoming parade for our boys, a small group of 15 to 20 Islamist protesters kicked up a stink by wobbling a load of antagonistic placards around and loudly decrying Western imperialism from behind a line of Western imperialists defending their right to shout about the system that was permitting them to shout.
If you see what I mean.
Predictably, the protest outraged some well-wishers so much things quickly turned ugly. Before long, 2 people were arrested, one for climbing on top of a supermarket and throwing a packet of bacon at the protesters.
So a tiny minority of another minority tried to stir up some outrage, and there's 2 arrests. Not a huge deal. Except the news thought differently, of course.
To the news, it was a huge deal. It provided dramatic material for news bulletins, fantastic emotive copy for populist tabloid headlines, and a great starting point for countless hours of confused debate on shows like Banal Morning Guffstorm The Right Stuff.
Steve, what's your feelings on this?
Well, I totally think it's bad that they tried to protest and basically...
And shorter bursts of simplistic yes-no debate on decisive Sky News.
Hello? Yes, I think probably... Hello?
Meanwhile, radical cleric Anjem Chowdhury, who heads the group that arranged the protest, was all over cosy GMTV, enjoying the publicity and their comfy sofa.
And the reality is, you see, that if we had this demonstration at another time, when the parade was not taking place, it probably wouldn't have got the coverage that it's got, and I wouldn't be here now talking about it on your programme.
You've certainly got us all going this morning. There's been a lot of dialogue, and dialogue has to be considered a good thing, I guess. Thank you very much.
It's good that you can come and talk to us about it.
Yes, thanks, Anjem. Now, would you like an infidel biscuit? They're lovely.
There was also another parade scheduled to take place that day, which the news excitedly cut to.
But wouldn't you know it, when the moment of truth came, the Watford March passed off without incident and the news was left without the story.
Parades. Let's have a listen to see what's going on down there in Watford.
No, nobody shouting baby killers, this is boring, fuck it. Still, while there wasn't even the tiniest protest in Watford, there was a huge protest taking place in Northern Ireland, where thousands of demonstrators were taking to the streets in the name of peace.
Yes, that's thousands of protesters coming together to demonstrate against the recent upsurge in Republican violence. So surely if 15 to 20 protesters in Luton gets a lot of coverage, surely thousands of protesters in Northern Ireland is going to get even more, right? Wrong.
Tonight at 10, a mass shooting at a school in Germany leaves 16 people dead.
Yes, because on the same day as the peace demonstration, a lone maniac in Germany went berserk with a gun, killing 16 people. This senseless tragedy provided material for news reports for days to follow. First, there were the initial dramatic breakdowns detailing precisely how the carnage unfolded. There was grim, voyeuristic mobile phone footage of the gunman's last moments, and a chilling reconstruction of a warning he apparently posted on the internet.
He typed these words: "Everybody's laughing at me. No one sees my potential. I'm serious."
Which later turned out to be almost certainly false, incidentally.
The aftermath in Vinenden proved so compelling for the vulture-like rolling news stations they even filled airtime showing things that weren't happening yet.
2 days later, even footage from an old ping-pong tournament in which the back of the gunman's head was vaguely visible was still considered news.
The latest pictures of Kretschmer show him playing table tennis, his favourite sport.
And 3 days later, even worse footage, pixelated to the point where it looked like a broadcast from the Lego dimension, well, that was considered news too.
In the video, Kretschmer is shown taking part in an arm wrestling contest in Rottenburg last year.
Yeah, I think if I squint, I can just about make out the face of a killer. Isn't the news brilliant? Repeatedly showing us a killer's face isn't news, it's just rubbernecking. And what's more, this sort of coverage only serves to turn this murdering little twat into a sort of nihilistic pin-up boy.
One thing the news kept plaintively asking was why this had happened.
Why? What had triggered in the mind of a seemingly normal teenager such fury and alienation?
Well, if you want to know why not ask a forensic psychiatrist?
We've had 20 years of mass murders, throughout which I have repeatedly told CNN and our other media, if you don't want to propagate more mass murders, don't start the story with sirens blaring.
The school day had only just begun when the attacker struck.
Don't have photographs of the killer.
The 17-year-old's 3-hour rampage ended in his own death.
Don't make this 24/7 coverage.
The German Chancellor is about to give her reaction. We'll bring that to you live.
Do everything you can not to make the body count the lead story.
Carnage in the classroom, 16 people are dead.
Not to make the killer some kind of anti-hero.
Dressed in black combat gear, the gunman opened fire at random.
Do localize this story to the affected community and make it as boring as possible in every other market. Because every time we have intense saturation coverage of a mass murder, we expect to see 1 or 2 more within a week.
But I mean, hold on a second here.
In summary then, not only does bad news always trump good news, but that bad news might itself actually help create more bad news, which is good news if you're the news.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's the end of this special compilation show, which was scheduled for next week. Instead, next week we've got a whole brand new episode. That is a treat. Yes, that's good, isn't it? Until then, that's all we've got time for. Go away.
And Charlie's back with another brand new episode of Newswipe next Wednesday at 10:30. Next tonight here on BBC4, Marcus Brigstock puts Nigel Haver's mettle to the test in I've Never Seen Star Wars.